Okay, okay, more interactive. That's cool. That sounds good to me. So I think whenever you're ready, Mauricio, feel free to take it away.
Yeah. So thank you, Professor Rinker, for inviting me to your class and being able to, share the opportunity that I had in DC, or in my organization, maybe be able to help out some students try and come to DC at some point through our internship program. So I know I don't really recognize most of the people in the room, the names. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Mauricio Villacres, and I am a former Purdue Northwest student. I graduated in December of 2019. I was with Professor Rinker throughout most of my college time there. I wasn't a political science major at first. I switched from business to political science. But Professor Rinker and Professor Yu have been just amazing professors that I've had. And, one of the reasons that I was able to, or wanting to keep in touch, was to try and help students out that had the same, that have gone through the same journey as I have, and maybe are having a little bit struggles to find internships or wanting to find internships. So I'm glad to be able to help out students in any way. So as Professor Rinker had mentioned, I did some internships with the Indiana State House. I interned with Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, and I interned with Senator Marco Rubio of Florida. So as you can tell, there's a lot of Miami, Florida kind of Congress members. I'm from the Miami area, so that was very natural to me to intern with my local members of Congress. And then when I was in Indiana, I wanted to see how a state legislator worked. So I was very excited to do so, and had a good experience, was able to learn a lot about the legislative process. And if you're ever, have a free semester that you can have that time to be able to, go to Indianapolis and do that, I would definitely 100% recommend it. But after I graduated and after my Indiana State House internship, I was stuck in the same boat that a lot of people were, right? After March, my internship had ended March 15th. The lockdowns started March 15th. And I was kind of like, oh, what do I do now? And I ended up just taking kind of like the summer off, which is, it was kind of like, oh, you could do it because of COVID times, but I was still, searching here and there for organizations that fit the things that I wanted to accomplish later on after, after I had graduated. And I found the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute. I originally wanted to apply for the position that we're now promoting, and now I'm the supervisor of. And I applied, and they basically told me, well, I don't think that you would be a good fit for the program. And I was like, that's weird. Like, why would they tell me that? And they're like, well, no, you wouldn't be a fit for that program, but we want you to offer you another position within the organization. And I was like, that's great. It was a fellowship, so it was more hands-on than the internship itself. And I was like, this is great. I'm getting a lot more experience with the fellowship because it's, fellowships are usually reserved for people who have just graduated. So I was excited for that, helping out the organization with its mission and its goals. And then my supervisor, the one that had hired me on to be what was then a programs fellow position, he left for a position in Congress. He went and was appointed for a position with the House Diversity and Inclusion Office. So the organization, my boss had told me, oh, hey, there's a position now available. And I was like, ooh, that's not going to happen in this world right now. It's very difficult to find a job. And I was ecstatic. I was like, yeah, definitely sign me up. I really wanted to help the organization. So now a little bit backtracking what the organization does. So the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute is an organization that was founded by members of Congress from both sides, trying to amplify and bring diversity of thought to the Hispanic community. Because a lot of times when you talk about Hispanic issues, you think, oh, immigration. immigration. But there's a lot more than that that comes with the Hispanic thought process. And we really wanted to highlight the great work that people in the Hispanic community are doing on all types of career fields. So the organization conducts briefings on a basically every other month basis. We bring timely briefings on certain issues. So last month, for instance, we had a briefing that was on technology, and we were able to bring in women leaders. A lot of them were diverse, African American, Asian, Hispanic, and bring them on the forefront to talk about technology and their story about being a woman in technology and how they can break that barrier and give advice to future leaders to be able to make it into the technology field. And we do that type of briefing very often, actually. We're having one May 26th, and we have our trade symposium where we bring on leaders to talk about the issues that are at hand of that specific year. We've had the president of Colombia come, we've had ambassadors come. So it's pretty cool. And my role in all this is now to be able to lead these programs and be able to, contact the speakers, set the program up, make sure that they're here, get all their information, talk to their teams back and forth. So it's pretty cool to be able to network myself amongst these high profile individuals and, get my name out there. Mm-hmm. But the other thing that the organization does is provide internship roles to diverse candidates across the board, trying to bring them to DC, get them to try and experience what DC is like, help them network amongst people. And I'm going to say this right now because I know it's going to come up. Diversity doesn't mean just being a Hispanic, being African American, Asian. It doesn't mean that. It's diversity of experience, diversity of what you've got. Because a lot of times we're only focusing on race or ethnicity, but there's a lot more that comes with the word diversity. So we want the most qualified individuals, and we want people that have had different experiences that we haven't heard from, and that sometimes you find in the most common and uncommon places. So our internship role that we offer right now, the deadline is actually pretty soon. We extended it to May 16th, actually. It was May 9th before, is the Global Leaders Internship Program. And this Global Leaders Internship Program is a semester-long internship in Washington, D.C., where you're able to intern at a congressional office and you're able to intern at a corporate office. And you do kind of half and half. So you start with the congressional. We place you in both through our connections. We place you in the congressional office through our maybe congressional board members with our connections, whether we have, on the Democratic or the Republican side. We place you there. You do a month and a half, 2 months around there with the congressional side. And then once you finish that, you go on to the corporate side. And our corporate, we have a lot of corporate sponsors that are very interesting to a lot of individuals just because of their, they're very well-known companies. So for instance, our cohort right now, they're interning with the offices of McDonald's, UPS, Accenture, let me see what I think, Univision. So it's a lot of companies that are like very well known in the space, and they're interning in the government relations offices. So I think the good thing about our internship is that we're able to give both public and private sector experience, which is something that you don't get in a semester long internship in many places. You usually get one or the other, never both. And the added benefits of the internship also are that you are able to get fully paid the airfare, you get a stipend, you get housing in DC, which is extremely expensive. I'm moving to DC soon, and I can see how expensive that is. So that is definitely one thing that's just I give it as a very big plus to us that we're able to provide that. Metro allowance, entrance into our alumni association, and you also get a weekly networking speaker series with us. So we try to connect with our connections, you know, through our alumni association, through our corporate sponsors, and we bring on a specific leader every week in order to speak to the interns about their experience. And at the end of the day, you know, it's not what you know, but who you know. And that's going to be a great deal for whenever you're looking for, outside of the internship role, you're looking for a full-time position. You can go back to this individual and you're like, oh, you know, I knew you, I met you, I can contact you at some point in time. So it really does give that full experience overall. And I'm very excited to be able to host them in person. We've done now 2 semesters fully in online. It's not the same experience, but we try to make the best out of it. We still give them the full internship experience in Congress and in the private sector. But now that they're going back in person, you know, they're going to be able to do all the things and activities that you usually would have done if you're in DC, you know, visit the White House, the Congressional, the Capitol tour. We take you to the World Bank. We take you to the corporate offices of Google and Facebook and some of our corporate sponsors. So it's just an overall experience that's really exciting, and I'm very excited to lead it because now as a program manager, I'm the supervisor for the interns. And to me, that's just a little bit weird because a lot of the students that I accept are 21, 20, 22, and I'm only 23, right? And, you know, being able to lead a program with students are very close to my age, but I have to put a firm face when it comes to like dealing with issues. I'm like, oh, well, you know, these are the people that I'm responsible for. And not long ago, I was applying for the same position. So I'm very excited to host them in person. And I would love to help out any student in this room, and then any student that may see the recording later on, try to help them. If it's not for this group of leaders in the fall, it's maybe for the spring, or maybe any other internship opportunity that you're interested in DC. So with that, I would love to, you know, have a conversation or take some questions if that's possible.
I have a question.
Yeah.
All right. So what you doing when you got this fellowship?
Mm-hmm.
So is this now your full-time job? This is what you do for a living? Or this is just a fellowship that you have outside of a full-time job?
Yeah. So it started as a fellowship in August of last year. And as my boss, my then boss left, you know, he was the position that I am now. I was promoted to a full-time position. And then I've gone up one step above the original position that was first granted as a full-time. So I was a programs assistant. Now I'm a programs manager. So yeah, it is a full-time position, what I'm doing now. Very grateful for being able to. Yep.
So originally when you graduated college, that's when you started this, that's when you got into the program to get the fellowship. Was this like your first transition over when you graduated? Or did it take some time for you to get there?
Actually, I graduated in 2019, in December of 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and I got an internship with the Indiana State House in that same December, the end of December.
Oh,
and I went all the way through March, yeah. And then COVID hit, and there was a gap from March all the way to July. And then I was looking for internship, fellowship opportunities during that time. And then I found what is CHLI. You know, that's the abbreviation for the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute. So yeah, this was my second opportunity. But I know that it's sometimes not that easy to find a job, even in your second opportunity, you know, get a full-time job out of it. I know a lot of people do internships. I'm just very grateful that I was able to get it in my second opportunity.
I mean, no, it looks like you're definitely a blessed man. So more power to you. But that definitely answered my question. I just was curious. But it sounds like you got, you know, a hell of a story. So, I mean, more power to you, man. Just keep striving.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
He seems smart. And if Dr. Rinker has approved of you, then you're more than well capable to do kind of whatever.
Thank you, Tay.
No problem, man.
Hey, Mauricio, and just to follow on to that, so that, I mean, to hear your story and your transition is really helpful for students, especially through COVID. But if, let's say, a student in this group was successful in applying for the fellowship and getting it for fall, I mean, would that person would need to dedicate the fall, right? They couldn't really be having a side job and stuff like that. Or do you find that your CHLI global leaders do have side jobs or are taking other classes or doing anything beside this program?
So side jobs, no, I doubt that they can take a side job. Usually, I would say no to a side job because they're either a full-time student or they're recent grads. So whenever you're a full-time student, you're taking a course load online, usually in conjunction with the internship role. And if you're a recent grad, you're usually, when you're not doing the internship, you're trying to look for a job, applying, doing applications for master's programs. So no, we wouldn't recommend taking a side position. I don't think you have the time to do a side position, side hustle, kind of like that. So yeah, that's my, I don't think that we've had the experience of having an intern doing that because they usually have a full course load. We've seen that they can do it a full course load with the internship role because, a lot of schools are very flexible and let them take the classes online. You have professors kind of like Professor Rinker that, really leave that option open to maybe having these type of internship roles and then work around it with you to be able to help out and try to manage a full course load while having the internship.
And Mauricio, also the fact that you guys provide, like you said, airfare, housing, the metro allowance, the stipend, like that's kind of enough for people to live on when they're in DC?
Yeah, definitely. Unless, you suddenly decide to live very lavishly, which the temptation is always there in DC, right? You're always going to have people that are very successful around you and they're going to do a lot of cool things, but you're going to be able to do very cool things as well. You're going to be in a lot of cool people, very accomplished people. And it really depends on how you live. For the most part, I would say that is, the monthly stipend, the housing and the airfare, metro allowance, it leaves you in a very comfortable position to not have to look for, like you said, a side job and, be needing more funds in order to be able to try to get, in order to like make ends meet in DC. I think most of our interns are, decently off with the funds that we do provide. Although I know that's, PNW offers sometimes scholarships if they sometimes need for these type of trips. So I would recommend that because I applied to one of these scholarships when I was in the Indiana State House because I was like, oh, this is not gonna suffice. So I would recommend if that's needed to apply to those scholarships. Yeah. I don't know if anyone else has maybe a question or anything that I maybe would answer. I would love. I know Dr. Rinker had sent me an email about if they don't fit the internship requirements that we ask of. If I can provide a list of other internship experiences that I may be able to.
What are the requirements for the internship? If you or you can put it in the chat like a little link or something. I can look at it later.
Yeah, I'll put the link to the actual application. But what I will say, I'll put my email actually. I'll put my email in the chat, and you can just email me because the thing is, I would have put a list of all the internship roles in DC, but what I did notice when I was looking for roles in DC last year, sometime in the summer, is that a lot of internship roles are, there are so many internship roles in DC because if you think about it, DC has every corporation has an office in DC. Almost every big corporation has an office in DC, and they're always looking for interns, right? the Amazons, the Facebooks, the Googles of the world, and then there's companies that have a bigger impact maybe in your community, UPS, FedEx, whatever. These companies all have corporate offices in DC, and they're always looking for interns. The thing is, sometimes their applications are not always as visible, and they do it because they also want the student to be searching, maybe calling that office, and making sure that they're making themselves available to try to look for the opportunity. So if anyone does have a question, if they have an interest in particular, let's say you're very interested in economics, the World Bank has internships. You reach out to me and I'll make sure to either connect you with an individual that might have that internship application right there, or I'll direct you towards where the application link is, because sometimes they're very hidden. I've noticed that the applications you have to look very deep into LinkedIn. You have to put on Google and put very specifically where the application is for the internship role. So it's a little bit difficult, and I definitely know that experience, because to me, Chile wasn't that easy to find at first, right? I think most of us in this room before last year, I would have been in the same boat as not being able to find where Chile is. So if you just email me, you have a specific interest, you have a specific member of Congress that you're maybe interested in interning for, just make sure to send me an email, and I'll try to connect you with someone that knows that member of Congress, that knows that office, or knows the specific corporation that you're wanting to apply for, or specific agencies. There are many agencies in DC. It's the epicenter of the U.S. government relations or U.S. government in DC. So if you want, just email me, send me an email if you're interested in something, and I would be glad to help you out, because I know how difficult it can be to try and get that information.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Mauricio, I was going to throw out there that sometimes I sense that there are students who would hear your presentation and be like, wow, like Mauricio's living in Miami and he's moving to DC, and like, I just don't know if I'm brave enough to do all that, right? Like, my family's always been in Northwest Indiana, and they expect everyone in my family to stay in Northwest Indiana, right? I don't know if you could speak to that a little bit, just kind of like, you know what I mean? Just kind of like motivate people, or say, you're young, this is your time in life, you'll figure it out. Just like a little bit about the network of moving someplace new.
Yeah. I lived in Miami all my life before going to Purdue Northwest, so I know that experience firsthand, and then I'm now going to know it again once I move to DC. So moving to Indiana was definitely difficult, because I had, like I said, I had lived in Miami most of my life, and the culture shock was definitely different. And I'm assuming that that's going to be the same thing for a lot of people that live in Northwest Indiana. They move to either DC or anywhere, they might find an internship role, because again, I'll say this, some of these agencies, some of these corporations that have offices in DC, sometimes they have other locations, whether they be in their headquarters in DC or their headquarters elsewhere. But I knew the culture shock. It was not easy. You have to surround yourself around people, and most of the people that you're going to surround yourself with in the internship role, or at least in our role, all six, we accept 6 global leaders every semester, and all 6 come from a different place. None of them live in DC as well. So one, you have a support group, 5 other individuals that are going through the same things. And then moreover, DC is probably better than Northwest and Indiana in this sense to try to cope with that. DC, a lot of individuals are not actually from DC. Most of the people that work in Congress, most of the people that work in these agencies, most of the people that work in corporations, they're not from DC. They're not from the DMV area, which is the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. So you're going to have definitely people that come from all parts of the country. And that's a good thing, because you're going to be able to learn from other individuals, learn from other type of people that come from different states. but you're also going to have, that kind of like, oh, well, I'm not the only one there. To me, it was a little bit more difficult in Indiana because not a lot of people had moved from Miami to Indiana. Usually it's the other way around. Usually a lot of people want to move from Indiana to Miami. But I think for me, it was just, there was a bigger goal in mind. I knew the degree was great. And I knew, if I got over a certain hump, which there's definitely going to be difficult moments. There's definitely going to be times where I was just like, I hate this cold, man. I really don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to go back to Miami. But I was like, no, I can't do that. If I go back to Miami, I'm being, one more of these Miami kids that just couldn't handle a little bit of cold and just went back to their mom and dad. I couldn't be that. I had to stick it out. And after my first year, it was great because I found a group of people that kind of went through the same things. And at least for DC, for people that may be moving from Northwest Indiana to DC, they're going to find the same thing. They're going to find maybe the first 6, or at least in this internship role, it's a 4-month internship. They're going to find maybe the first week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe a month. They'll find, oh, God, this is very difficult. This is not Indiana. This is not, very common to me. But then after that, they'll be like, wow, this is pretty cool. Or you'll find the other reaction, which is, I don't want to go back to Indiana. I want to stay in Indiana. I want to stay in DC my whole time. I really want to find an opportunity to make this a full-time position. So I think, it is a different environment wherever you go, from Indiana to DC. But I feel like a lot of people are going to find a lot of people that have gone through the same experience, and they're going to feel at ease with that transition. I know that I felt that when going from Miami to Indiana, and I'll probably go through the same things when I go from Miami to DC. I've already found some people through networking in the virtual realm, trying to find people that have done the same things, some people from Miami in itself. And I know that I'll be fine now. Just because I think I did a bigger jump going to Indiana as opposed to now to DC. It was definitely a bigger culture shock for sure. So I don't know if that explains it a little bit. I would love to have a chat with anyone that, send me an email and they still are finding it difficult to make that jump. I think the jump is worth it, right? If you're seeing that you want to have a career in political science and anything related to government, anything related to corporations too, they have a lot of corporations there, make the jump because the goal there is, worth, making that jump for. So I would say that.
That was really helpful, Mauricio. Also for students, international students, like coming from different countries, do you end up running across, that internships are equally open to them, or it could be challenging in the next year?
Yeah. So it depends on what you say from other countries. So, when you're saying from other countries, our internship role is usually based off of Hispanics because of the name Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute. And I explained this to Professor Yu actually last time that I spoke to him, that a lot of people that are African American, Asian, come from different places, don't apply to our organization because the name is there. You see our accepted individuals, that accepted groups that we have accepted in the years past, and they've all been Hispanic because not a lot of other people apply because of that name. So I'm going to put it out there. We want everyone, but there are certain requirements, like let's say someone's from, like, let's say I know that there's a lot of exchange programs in Purdue Northwest before the people come from outside, other countries outside. You only have to be enrolled in a university in the US in order to be able to apply. And you have to have, you still have to be within that limit. And so basically you have to be enrolled, like, let's say you're from South Korea, right? You come to Purdue Northwest and let's say you want to apply into the program and you're still enrolled in Purdue Northwest. You can definitely apply we definitely want you there. We definitely want you to apply. So yes, we do accept people from other countries. Most of our interns come from different from different places. Our cohort right now, they're Cubans, they're people from Nicaragua, people from, we've had people from Venezuela. I think we have a lot of Mexicans. So we have a lot of people from different countries, usually South American, but we want to welcome other individuals as well. So hopefully that's a little bit of it always becomes a little bit difficult because of that thing of, a lot of people that have been accepted are Hispanics. So yeah, it's usual when the name Hispanic is in the organization name. So yeah.
Well, I'll back out a little bit and let students feel free to ask any and all questions, because I think you can tell Mauricio is really approachable. You can ask him kind of all manner of questions.
I mean, since the application is due by the 16th, but let's just say like a week away, a week and a half away, somewhere around in nature. I mean, what are things to make yourself more competitive in the application process? I mean, I looked online. I know it's the personal statement, 800 words, and you have to write a legislative analysis about 800 words as well. But just in that, I mean, what can separate you when it comes to your writing, or any other steps that you might be keen to notice?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, just because usually people are intimidated because they feel that they're not going to be competitive within the internship. Because yes, we'll have a lot of individuals that are very qualified, have lots of internship experience, but I have to put it out there. Internship experience doesn't equate that individual is qualified for the internship role, right? You may have all the internship experience in the world, but if you don't even know why you want this internship role, you're kind of like putting out, oh, like I already have experience, I'm a shoe in to get this internship. You're not, right? A lot of individuals are come from great universities, around the U.S., Berkeley. I think we had from Northwestern, and we had to say no to them. School experience doesn't make it all. We see, since I'm the one that looks at all these resumes, I look a lot at the personal statement and the cover letter, and it says a lot about the individual. Because some people are just like, it just seems very formatted. It seems like they just literally copy and pasted it from a template on Google, and they put Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute, and that's basically all they change. I would steer away from that. I would make it a mission to really find it within you and say, why do you want this internship role? What does this internship role provide that others may not? And how can this help you for your future goals, right? I think the people that we've accepted for roles before, they make that very clear. They're like, I want this internship role because it aligns with blah, 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 the internship. And then this is what it will help me do later on in the future, whether that's help your own community, whether that's, maybe you want to run for office at some point. It aligns with your goals. If you're just saying, it looks like it's just very formatted and this just looks like one more application that you're throwing out there, I'm not going to look at the resume. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to be like, this is great. He looks very qualified. Not for us though. So I would make sure to stay true to yourself when you're writing this. Actually make sure that you want to be part of this internship program, not just because you really need an internship role, but because you actually want, right? And you can look at our mission on our webpage. You can look at the members of Congress that work for us. You can look at the corporate sponsors that work for us. Do they really align with things that you want to do? If they don't, then please, you can apply, but most likely that won't come naturally to want to, those are not the things that align with you. And that's very noticeable when, now I've interviewed people, I know it's that immediately. It doesn't align with you. You're just doing it to apply. I'm not really going to accept you, but good luck, and good luck for your next role or for your next application. So I would say stay true to yourself, actually make it visible as to why you want to be there and why does it align with your goals. That's my best advice. I know that that's the advice I've given to people. That I actually received an email a couple of days back. They were like, I'm intimidated because there are a lot of people who are going to apply to this internship role. But, I don't know if I have enough experience. Experience doesn't come just in internship roles. It comes with community service. It also comes with doing jobs with whatever job that you might be doing in Northwest Indiana or anywhere else. It's that role that you've done it and how much effort you put into it. And you could see, okay, this person has done this, and I'll make sure to contact their reference and make sure that they are who they say they are in that resume. And I'll make sure to try to get as much information, even if they don't have that much experience. So I hope that answered your question. I want to, be able to help you as much as possible.
I definitely did. I appreciate it.
And to build on something, Taze's question, I'm very glad CHLI puts up some very nice instructions for what you're looking for in the application packet. The only thing I would add for the students who might be interested in applying is everything on that list of requirements look very doable. The one thing you should get a jump on is getting letters of recommendation from your professors. Everything else can be written fairly quickly, except for the professor's letter.
Yeah, that's something that we come across all the time, right? That our requirements aren't that they are very basic. They're a resume, cover letter, a legislative analysis. These are all things that can be done if you actually put set aside time. It can be done in 2 days, 1 day, not even like you could do it in 1 day if you really wanted to. Just get approved for double, triple check your work, but your recommendation letters, that might not come as easily. I would jump on that if possible, because I know that that's probably the hardest thing to get. I know that from a couple of people that have applied, that's that sometimes we accept the application and then they say, oh, they're going to send in that recommendation later. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, right? Also, make sure if you are applying to the role that you submit all the documents in one. I will not, I'll tell you right off the bat, if you don't submit all the application documents, I won't email you back and be like, oh, you're missing this. You're missing your resume. You're missing your cover letter. You're missing whatever, right? I can't, because, you're all 19, 20, 21, whatever age it may be. You are grown adults that have to know that if you don't submit all these documents, the person that's accepting them is not going to reach out to you and is going to be like, oh, you're missing this. No, we have a lot of applications that are coming in. So to keep track of every single one that might have missed something, we already have a couple that have missed, and I'm not going to be able to reach out back to them unless they reach out back and they're like, oh, can I still submit it? Yes. Sure, you can submit it if you're within the deadline, but I'm not going to let you know if you're missing any documents. So I would triple check your work within the specific documents, but also make sure that you're submitting all the documents. And if you're waiting on letters of recommendation, let me know that those recommendation letters might come later on directly from the professor, because I know that's a lot of professors do that. Maybe from an employer will come directly to me. Do let me know, because I won't know that this letter, is coming ever, right? And then I might have just said, oh, this is not going to be an individual that we're going to go with anyway. So I won't even look at the application material at that point. So yeah.
I'm just going to stress and remind, right? Like the students in this class, right? You remember one of the very first assignments this semester was to send me your resume, and that we went through them kind of with a fine tooth comb, right? That's the kind of stuff we try to do at Purdue Northwest, right? To really make sure our first generation students are doing the things that will help them get good jobs.
Yeah. and please, I'm sure that maybe sometimes the professors might be a little bit too busy to check resumes, but I'm sure the career center is always there. There's always resources out there that want to help you and want to double check your work, that they're there for those reasons. And please make sure that those things are formatted correctly, because, you know, it does make a difference when I'm looking at resumes and stuff like that. Even if it's nicely formatted, I noticed like someone's been trying to make the effort to put it all neat and together, as opposed to someone that just said, you know what, I'm gonna like type it in one day. I'm not gonna gotten it checked by anyone, and then really that decreases your chance of getting the internship role because of something simple, right? Something as simple as just getting a double check. So if you really want to, you know, get a foot up on everyone, I would just say it's very simple. Just get a double check.
I have a question. How difficult would it be for a student that's not majoring in political science? How difficult would it be for them to do all of the things that scholarship requires them of?
It's not difficult. No, we've had interns in the past that are not political science majors, right? They're economics majors. We had one last semester that was a biomedical engineering student. They're not political science majors, and we want that. We want people that are not necessarily always political. And that, to me personally, when you've seen so many applications that all say political science and comes in someone that, what's your major, Giovanni?
Computer information technology. So it would be information services, cybersecurity, programming, software engineer, stuff like that.
Yeah. So to me, that comes out more than a political science major, honestly. Like we see about 20 applications that are political science. We see none that are your major, right? We see every once in a while an engineering student. We see every once in a while someone in the business, but we see political science degrees all the time. So you're going to get a leg up just by that, right? Secondly, if you're doing that type of work, which, you know, your major is very long, I'm not going to repeat it, but very easy for you, the work that you're going to do in Congress and in the corporate office. And you're always going to have, I think it's going to look like a breeze. You're going to be like, wow, this is pretty easy stuff. In your specific case, let's say you apply, right? It's going to be very easy for us to get you an internship role because you're more malleable to certain factors that, you know, a lot of political science majors can't do. So I'm guessing you're more of a technical aspect type person. They can put you in technical roles, more technical internship roles. So that's great because it's just so much easier for us. It's so much easier for you when you come to DC and you're like, oh, this is super easy. And people look at it like, I think like, I don't know if the actual stat is this, but it just seems like there's like 80% political science majors in DC. And DC would benefit from people like you in different majors, you know, coming in. And but a lot of it comes as to your specific question, you know, can you navigate? Yes, 100%. Can you navigate? Can you understand the role? 100%. These are going to be very simple terms compared to the things that you're doing. And you know, it also comes to our mission at CHLI, diversity of thought. We want to have different, you know, different experiences, different things that people come. Everyone has an opinion in DC. Everyone has a political opinion. We want to have other types of opinions. We want to have other types of expertises come. So your expertise is very welcome in our organization, and we definitely want you there. Well, hopefully that answered my question, Giovanni.
It did. Thank you.
Yep. Again, I put my email in the chat. If you want to reach out to me, please do. I know sometimes it's easier for me to type up things than explain it because I'm able to be more concise with the things that, because I see the specific question, I can address it directly and then address maybe other questions that you have. So please, if you do have a question, I believe Professor Rinker and Professor, you also put our application material or our application link on the chat. Go in, check the webpage, check about our members, check about our mission statement, check everything, make sure that this is something that you truly want, if you truly want it. And then if you have any questions, I'm available for email, for call, text, literally for anything, and I respond pretty quickly. I would be more than glad to help you out, whether it be for this role, be for another role. I know some people might say this is not for me. Completely fine. There are always going to be roles that I'm able to help you out with. And I'm glad to do it because I know how difficult it is to find internship roles now. But I knew it, when I was also looking for roles as well. This might not have been an easy thing. Please reach out. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. A lot of people are shy and they just don't ask the questions. And then they're like, oh, well, I could have done. Please, I'm literally here to do that. I know I've been in your shoes at one point or another, not in the virtual realm, but I'm definitely excited in being able to help any of you out.
Hey, one last question to Mauricio. So if it's looking like you're doing a May deadline for an August placement, just if there are any students who are like, ooh, my fall is already kind of plotted out, but what I wonder about spring 2022, when do you think you would be taking applications for the spring?
Yeah. So usually the internship opens up around, so our internship right now is May 16th. The whole summer it's not open. It usually starts opening around September, right? And then our deadline is the beginning of November, mid-November, right? That's our deadline for the spring. So if you're looking like, okay, this might not be, it might be a little bit too soon to pack up my bags, get everything ready for DC for the fall. You want some more time. You want to make sure that this is even something that you want. Make sure that you have your application, all your application material for the spring. It starts September, goes all the way to November, and I would be glad to help you out then. If any questions come by, and I know that we're gonna go back in person fully again, so that's a great thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I don't know if there's any remaining student questions or if you successfully answered them all. I think you did.
Yeah, so I just want to thank you, Dr. Rinker, Professor Yu. I know that I definitely know what it is like to have an alumni come in and maybe help out. I've actually reached out to what was my Professor Delgado, that he's in DC. I met up with him in DC. So I know that he's going to be someone I'm going to reach out to again. And because I know that the expertise that he brings in and the experience that he brings in. So I want to be that same resource to any student that's here. If I can help out, if you ever want to set up a 20-minute coffee, a virtual coffee, please let me know. I would be glad to help out, not just with this internship, with anything, studies, anything that we talked about today. I would be glad to do it, just because I know how sometimes it's difficult it may be to track individuals that have some time to be able to help out students. I really just want to help. That's a lot of my job is trying to help out students. So I want to help out even more people that have been in the same shoes, but even have been in the same school, have been in the same environment. So I know how it feels, and I'm here to help in any way or form. So happy to help. My email is there. So just send me even if it's just to say hi, just please do.
Great. Thank you so much. We really appreciate Mauricio, and thanks to Professor Rupp for being on the call. We know how many times he's helped our students get funding, like when they're down in the State House internship, like Mauricio, Nathan, and others. So thanks for joining. And I think we'll have the recording that we'll find a way to post maybe through Pi Sigma Alpha or some channel like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Professor Up, I know that I didn't know that he was the one that granted me the scholarship, or one of the people that signed off. So even more thank you to you, because that definitely helped out in Indianapolis.
Well, this has been singularly impressive, Mauricio. I'm sorry I was out of the classroom the last 5 years or so, because I would have enjoyed working with you. This was awesome. And I just close by saying PNW is starting to make a major push in Hispanic outreach. And because we're quickly approaching being an HSI, a Hispanic Serving Institute. And one of the things that was really informative to me, everything you said today made perfect sense. I was a little bit like you when I was your age, as far as how quickly you could move from being, this college student to you're only 23 and look what you're doing. And this is a great model that you've shown. But I'm really glad Giovanni chimed in, because I'm going to probably share this, not probably, with the chancellor, because I got an email from him the other day about being more and more engaged with national organizations. So don't be surprised if we fly you out sometime in the fall if we can, because we'd like to have you talk to not just poli-sci students, but also students who might not be thinking that this is a possibility. I've done a lot of work with learning about what Hispanic families in the region want, and they want STEM for their kids in many, many cases. And there's a lot of money actually for students in Hispanic kids, but they're not aware of it. So you'll probably bring it back. Yeah, no, definitely. And I know that one of the things that the Northwest Indiana, or the region area, has is a lot of, it does have a lot of people with a Mexican heritage background. And yeah, they do want to go into STEM. And, a big thing of us pushing out that recent grad thing, putting that as open to recent grads, is because if you're in STEM, you're most likely not going to be able to do an internship during the semester, right? Because your course load is extremely daunting, right? So if you recently graduated and you're looking for an internship role, we have tech companies within our sponsors. So we want to have you be in, and I think it'd be a great experience for you overall. So yeah, I'd be definitely happy to connect with any student that's not just in political science. Thank you. Thank you. So I don't know if there's anything else. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks again, Mauricio. Everybody have a wonderful day. We'll be in touch. We're getting ready for all of us for a little break from the semester, right? Be a welcome thing. So we'll be refreshed and ready to jump back in. Thanks a bunch, Mauricio.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much, Mauricio.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Take care.